What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out this set of DV8 off-road LED headlights with the chrome housing and the clear lens fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. If you're a fan of the factory LED headlight styling but don't want to pay the dealership premium, this set is going to be a great choice to take a look into. Now these will offer very similar details compared to the factory LED package, making it a great pick for the JT owner who wants an upgrade from their halogen headlights for a more modern appearance to get that better visibility at night, especially in those remote areas, but wants to do it in that OE Plus form. Now this set will also serve well to the JT owner who already has the LED package, but damage or wear has taken upon your headlights and you're in need of an upgrade, but also just want to save a couple bucks. These will include a traditional chrome inner reflector, the center bar with that projector lens, and the subtle halo for a pop-off style, while also keeping you noticeable. So when you're driving, you're gonna have some better safety with that DRL compared to your halogens. Now the lighting here is really what shines, no pun intended, but with a bright LED projector in the center, that's gonna create a consistent beam pattern and throw a significant amount of light compared to the halogen bulb and that factory reflector. The LED halo on the outside will also illuminate in a bright white color with the running lights and does have the ability to blink amber with the turn signals for additional function, even over the factory LED package. This set is going to have a tough build with a die-cast aluminum and plastic injection molded housing. On the front, these will have a durable polycarbonate lens that will hold their own to any road debris or branches if you are taking your JT off-road. Now they will also be durable enough to hold up to any water or dust with an IP67 rating, so you're not going to get any water inside of the housing here that could potentially harm the LEDs or fog up that lens. Now this kit is also going to come with some additional wiring. You are going to have to do some wiring in order to get these working properly with all of the functions that these carry. However, it's pretty simple and straightforward, and we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. This set will come in at roughly $750 and will save you a couple $100 compared to the true OEM set. So even though this is at a higher price point compared to other choices on the page, this will still save when it comes to the specific style. Now what I like about this set compared to other choices is that modernized look the housing and the LEDs offer, but also you're getting some additional functionality out of the halo that not every set has, even in those OE style sets. Now I think if you're not really into the flashier headlights and want to keep it simple with that factory style, then these are going to be a fantastic pick for you. Install will be very straightforward, but will require some very minor wiring. Again, nothing crazy, so I'm gonna give it a light 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour to get the job done with some basic hand tools. Now, speaking of the install, one of our customers here has installed this on their JT and is gonna walk you through what the install and the wiring looks like step by step, so that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Here are the tools that I use to complete the installation. A pop trib clip remover tool, along with a flathead screwdriver to help with that. For your 10mm bolts that hold on your headlights and the 10mm bolt in the fender, you'll use a 1/4 drive ratchet with an extension, and 10mm deep socket and or shallow socket is fine. To complete the wiring, you may need a set of wire strippers to strip back the wiring, a test light to probe the wiring to find out which wire you want to tap into, a soldering iron if you choose to solder it, some solder, electrical tape to tape up everything and keep everything clean.
Hello and welcome to the install video. Today we're going to be showing you how to go from standard halogen bulbs on your JL, or in this case JT Gladiator, to the new DV8 LED projector headlights. Stay tuned. The first step of the process is going to be opening the hood. So we're going to go ahead and unlatch the hood here. Like so. Okay, the next step is going to be removing these plastic push pins. You're gonna have one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's in the same exact corresponding location as here to here. So in order to do this, I like to use two tools, a flathead and one of these pop clip removal tools. First thing you're gonna do is put the flathead under this little cutout and pop this first section out. Then you're gonna take your pry tool, slide it underneath the push pin and pry up. Here's the connector, and this is how it works. Locks into place just like that. You're gonna repeat the process on all the clips. Okay, the next step in the process is going to be removing the grill. This is this entire piece that comes all the way around the headlights. In order to do that, you got some fastener clips underneath here. What I like to do is start on one side, put my hand over here, and just pull firmly off. And the same thing on this side. Careful not to hit your grill across your bumper. As you can see, it comes loose. And here's all the clips that I was talking about. Across the bottom, and there's two here and one over here. Set that aside. To begin the process of removing the stock headlight, you will use your 1/4-inch drive ratchet, 1/4 extension, and 10 mil deep socket, or standard 10 mil socket. There's gonna be 3 bolts, one here, and one up here. You can start in any order to remove these bolts. Once you get to your last bolt, you want to have your hands free so that you can support the headlight. Once you get the headlight out, you'll notice there's one connector. In order to get this connector out, you simply press down on this tab here and pull up. And that's how you remove factory headlight. The process of removing the factory headlight for the passenger side is exactly the same as the driver's side. In order to get the ring on the DV8 headlights to glow when you turn the ignition on or daytime running lights, we will need to tap into the factory daytime running lights. In order to do that, they give you this connection point on the back of the headlight. It's got one plug and one wire here. As you can see, the test light is probing the wire and the light is on. When I turn the lights off, the test light goes off. That is how you will be able to find which wire to tap into once you access the wiring behind the light. On the back of the headlight, you will find 3 connectors. The main harness connector and the 2 different wiring harness. This one normally has a connector on it. I did cut it off. And then you have a black wire. This black wire is going to be what turns this ring amber. This red wire is going to be what turns this ring white. I did notice with these headlights, when you turn them on, they turn blue and then white. Not really sure if I like that too much, but it is what it is. A lot of LEDs are that way. They actually use a blue light to create white. The reason why I cut this connector is because I'm going to be soldering everything on this Jeep, and this is also going to require
a resistor, something they do not include in the kit. A resistor looks like this. What this does is it resists the voltage going to the wiring. LEDs require less voltage to power on than standard halogen bulbs do. So when tapping into this wiring harness to gain power, you'll need to interrupt that circuit with one of these. What I'll basically be doing is once I find the wire that I want to tap into using this test light, I will then tap into the wire and connect this to one side of that wire and this to the red wire here. So that will be tapping in just like this to here and then into the wiring harness. Now I noticed that when I tapped into the standard amber halogen bulb that illuminates this amber, I didn't need to add a resistor because you're automatically getting a flickering. Some cases may be different. You may need to add a resistor. Again, this is only if you have a Jeep that comes standard with halogen bulbs. If you have a Jeep that has LEDs, you may not have this issue and you may not need this resistor. The harness that comes with the kit has a fuse and 2 wires. You can connect this directly to the battery and that will run the LEDs. However, that will keep the LEDs on constant. You could run this to a switch to where you can turn on a separate switch and the LEDs will illuminate. It's really just up to you how you want to wire it. I'll be tapping into the side markers here so that when I turn on the factory light, these will turn on. Here's a comparison of the 2 headlights, factory, aftermarket. This is how I will be wiring up my headlight. This red wire is going to be the white and this black wire is going to be the amber. I've kind of built my own harness here. Yellow is amber and the white is obviously the white. So I will be taking this resistor, wiring this and soldering it. Then from there, it will go into the white wire here. And the black wire, I've shortened it and cut it. I will be attaching it to the yellow for the amber. And that's how that will be wired up. And that will plug in to my existing harness that I tapped into the side marker light for. Tape. Now this can mount to somewhere and this can plug in because this gets hot. So you don't want to mount that on anything. You want to mount that on something else. All right, so now I have my 2 harness kits built. Again, you may or may not want to do it this way. It's really up to you. You can do it however you see fit. This is just how I like to do my stuff. So I have my 2 wiring harnesses built. I left some access here to mount this somewhere, and I can plug that right in. Let's get to the install. Now we are ready to tap into the factory side marker to tie in to our headlights. You will need these tools to do it. Same tools you needed earlier. Pop tool, your ratchet, extension, and 10 mil. First thing you're gonna do is come underneath here and remove the 10 millimeter bolt. Here is where we remove the 10 millimeter bolt. This is a Christmas tree clip. We will need to pop that out. In order to do that, you will get up underneath here. Just like that. Next, you will pry this back to access the wiring behind here. Here's one of the wiring harnesses. It goes to this LED light. The other wiring harness is back in here. Once you access that wiring harness, you'll be able to probe and find the correct wires that you would want to tap into. What I've done here is I've tapped into both of these wires, these wire taps that they have provided. You simply find the wire you want, pinch that down, and then connect your new wire in here, running it out. So there's really no soldering necessary. However, I did solder it in here. Now I have my two wires coming out to my connection plug that I have created, just like my other harness. That way I can have an easy connection point here. One of these wires is tapped into my turn signal light, and the other wire is tapped into my daytime running lights. The turn signal will make the halo turn yellow, and the daytime will make the halo turn white. Here's my factory plug, and here is my new connection. Just like the driver's side, I have my factory plug and my newly made connection. Time to install the headlights. Before I install the headlights, I need to find somewhere that I can mount this resistor. I don't want to put it on anything like this tank that might melt. I want to find somewhere metal that I can stick it to or zip tie it to. So that's going to be the first step. It looks like I'll be able to zip tie it right over here. To get my headlight connected, I will now connect my harness that I have created and factory plug. Push it until you hear a click. Just like that. Now I'll take my resistor and put my hand through here to zip tie it up out of the way. When lining up the headlight, look for the little prongs that line up the headlight here, as well as up here. Once you get the headlight in place, grab your 3 10mm bolts. You just want them snug. Do not over tighten, as you will crack the plastic. Passenger side. Again, connecting my pre-made harness and the factory harness until I hear a click. Find a location for your resistor. Looks like here would be a good spot, one I can access down in here and zip tie it up. Line up your pins here and down here first, just like that. Now grab your 10mm bolts and your ratchet with extension and 10mm socket. Do not tighten all or any one of these all the way. Evenly tighten it. Once you've completed your tapping of your wiring, you've taped everything up and you make sure there's no loose wiring, you're going to run ahead and tuck this back into the fender. Line up this Christmas tree clip and press it in. And take your 10mm bolt, your socket with extension and ratchet, and reinstall the 10mm bolt. If you do have flickering, you may need to install one of these CAN bus anti-flicker wiring harnesses in between the headlight and the factory connector. However, with this particular brand, I did not have an issue, so this was not needed. Now that we've tested our lights and we know everything works, we're ready to reinstall the grill. You want to line up the bottom with the clips, rotate it up and over. Push here, 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 and reinstall the factory clips. Once you know the grill is nice and secure, you'll then reinstall the clips in the open position. You'll put the clip in the hole and press down to lock it in place. You'll repeat the process on every clip. 1, 6.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install of the DV8 off-road LED headlights with the chrome housing and the clear lens, fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators, and you can find these right here at extremeterrain.com.